Next on AM 1480 WLEA, the Newsmaker Show. Here's Brian O'Neill.
Dr. Robert A. Heineman is here.
Let's do it, Brian. Let's do it.
How you doing today, Doc?
Well, pretty well, thank you.
Assemblyman Joe Arrigo. Okay, here's what we know. Assemblyman Arrigo and an unnamed assemblyman and an unnamed lobbyist are accused in a bribery scheme where the unnamed assemblyman and unnamed lobbyist paid $5,500 to Arrigo, $5,500, so Arrigo would get a law passed so that there would be more local control in Rochester involving an upcoming project for some kind of grocery store.
Oh, grocery
Whole
store.
Foods, I believe, and the point of the law was to make it so there was more local control and take the control out of the Rochester Department of Transportation's hands. The FBI says Arrigo's already admitted guilt in this. Assemblyman David Gant, a Rochester state lawmaker, says he knows nothing about it. Assemblyman Gant is the chairman of the Transportation Committee in the State Assembly.
I see. I see. Well, first of all, I thought it was $10,500.
It was, but it got split. Arrigo got $5,500. Is what the FBI says.
I see. Well, the rendition I saw was from the Wellsville Regional News page, which covered the thing in real considerable detail. Now, I don't know. It may have ended up $5,500, but my office mate at Alfred said, why would anybody pay a Republican assembly person anything to get a law passed? I think there are only 42 or 43 Republicans left in the state assembly, and it's a body of 150 legislators. The idea that anybody could pass anything, my understanding is, so that the other assemblyman or assembly person is apparently some Rochester Democrat, and that's where David Gant's name undoubtedly surfaced. But apparently somebody's asked him already whether he has anything to do with it. Yes. So the other one, of course, other powerful Democrat in Rochester is, of course, Joe Morelli, who is running for the congressional seat.
Has his name come up in any of the media? I haven't seen that name yet in this story.
I've never seen. And you can see where Gant's name might come up because he is, as you said, chair of the Transportation Committee. And this all, I think, probably is going to tie back into Bill Nojay and some of the workings that he was pushing.
Does this hurt Rochester Republicans? Because there's always that battle between Rochester and Corning.
I don't know.
Well, Amo Houghton, Congressman Tom Reed, they're Corning guys.
Well, but the point is the district doesn't extend into Rochester anymore.
Okay, but...
So, no, I think in terms of hurting people, it's this legislative district here that runs from, it used to run from Allegheny County up to Pittsford and now runs from Steuben County up to Pittsford and Mendon and I don't know what else up there. Maybe not I think it includes Pittsford. But you had, Jerry Johnson in there who ended up in jail because he was fiddling around with women's lingerie, breaking in their houses. And then you got Bill Nojay, who appears to be pretty deep in some sort of nefarious projects, and he was
accused of stealing millions.
He ends up shooting himself, and now you have the charges against Joe Arrigo. I mean, I don't know what's going on there in that district, tell you the truth. But I will say this, Nojay and Arrigo are tied heavily into the Rochester Republican, I don't know if you can call it a machine anymore, but when Steve Menarek was head of the party there, I mean, that was a pretty powerful political organization. And as our listeners may recall, Steve Menarek was questioned by the FBI for 2 hours, I think 2 hours on Good Friday, and died of a massive heart attack on Easter morning. So you can see the kind of pressures that come into play there. So I don't know how far this is going to go, and I don't know why the FBI doesn't release the names of these other people.
A lot of reporters have been asking that.
Well, I assume the FBI is going to milk this and get some more people to turn over. This may go a lot deeper than just Joe Arrigo, and so it's sad. It's just you just kind of shake your head. You got a lot of fine assembly people out there, and a lot of other people representing the public, and then you run into this kind of thing. But again, going out of the Rochester Republican operation up there, you had some pretty dicey characters over the years, and again, a few I find very fine people, but it's not a good picture.
Had both Marjorie Burns and Barbara Baer on the Thursday morning Newsmaker show. Both of them emphasized the innocent until proven guilty thing.
I thought you said he had already pled guilty.
He has, but they weren't over. I guess I'd say capitalizing in that way.
Yeah, well, there's no need for him to do that at this point. I think Mr. Rigo's got enough trouble. You don't need to be. It's like what was it? Eric Holder said earlier this week. When they go low, why we just keep kicking them.
That's getting a lot of play on the talk shows.
Yeah, well, that's Eric Holder. Kick them when they're down, man. So it's.
Do you think he wants to run for something, Holder?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Can he win?
No.
And we're talking the White House, right?
I suppose I may be looking at the Senate or something. I suppose he could win that, but he's no Barack Obama, and. You got to give Obama credit.
The public speaking skills.
Exactly, you got to give Obama credit. First of all, he's very bright, and he had the ability to smooth things and offer messages that often came to nothing, but sounded very good. Holder is not that kind of guy. No.
Obama's a lot less confrontational.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Can be if he has to be, I guess, but no.
But doesn't seem to come by it naturally. Joked around a lot. Was very affable.
Yeah, well, I guess. You probably talk to him quite a bit.
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Yeah, all right.
When I'm not on the phone with
yes,
you.
Okay,
or...
could we get on to something realistic here?
Stock market went down 500 points Thursday. Do you have any thoughts on that?
It's a bubble kind of situation, I think. And of course, when the market really took a hit there was right after during the Clinton administration, where you had all these IPOs, initial public offerings from all these tech companies that had no profit, had no employees, and just had an idea, and they were pulling in all kinds of money, and there just wasn't anything there, and then all of a sudden the whole thing began to go. Plus some of the hedge funds and such. So you're getting a little bit of a bubble here. But again, the economy is so strong out there, it's hard to see it's going to be anything much.
The Democrats argue that it is not.
Yeah, well, fine.
How do they do that when all these official agencies say that things are good? Of course, you did hear conservatives poo-poo it when Obama had some good numbers, but... Well, I suppose it's, both sides do that. But
I would say that you go with the numbers in terms of what the Bureau of Labor Statistics lays out there, and they're, you can judge them however you want. But the unemployment figures and such look pretty good. So I would say after the Kavanaugh fiasco, you've got, I think you have Republicans pretty motivated here, and I've been out putting up a few yard signs here and there, and I'm telling you, the Republicans around here are ready to go, man. They're really
for November 6th.
They're irritated there. So I think what's kind of sad about this whole thing is that you have the hashtag #MeToo movement, which is an attempt to prevent and attack the exploitation of women, which is a legitimate concern. But now what's happened is it's being turned around, and they're exploiting women. And in the Kavanaugh situation, tried very much to exploit women for their narrow political purposes. And that, I think, is a misuse of the whole thing that they're trying to achieve there. How Miss Ford got involved in all this, I don't know. There's probably a few stories out there. At any rate, it was pretty ugly, and the Republicans and I think a lot of moderates are just shaking their heads at this.
So you think the Republicans have been energized by Christine Ford during the Kavanaugh hearing?
Yes, absolutely.
And you're talking not just nationwide, but locally, too.
Oh, absolutely.
The people you've talked to.
Yeah. On the other hand, you look at the local elections, in terms of governor, the problem is that Molinaro is running out of money.
I read that.
And the problem is, once the polls don't tighten up at all, then people are unwilling to put their cash in that spot. Plus, you can bet the Republicans in the state Senate are trying to scarf up all the contributions they can, because again, they're back on their heels, hoping to be able to hold on to the state Senate. So that money is going, and it's probably going to a more worthwhile purpose there, frankly. Molinaro has a very tough road to hoe without Cynthia Nixon on the working families line and the possibility of splitting up.
And then you got the Larry Sharpe effect.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It seems like, just from looking at digital media, Facebook, Twitter, that there's a number of local people that are big Larry Sharpe supporters.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But the problem they have, you got an incumbent governor, and he's announcing grants and awards all over Western New York, all over the state, and they just all happen to be coming out a few weeks before the election. And you can imagine there'll be some ads touting the state and its progress, whatever it is, as well. So the guy's got a heck of a platform, and he uses it effectively, and it's tough on somebody who wants to challenge him. On the other hand, you got this huge blanket of corruption surrounding Cuomo, but people just don't seem to be that interested.
Another state issue there, Dr. Heineman. State Senator Kathy Young and State Senator John Flanagan, the Long Island Republican, are reported to have combined between the two of them over $1 million in campaign cash. Yes. Would that be for Senator Young's reelection? Because she has no one running against her. Would that be for the Senate Republicans?
She can use that for other campaigns. The thing you have to understand about those contributions is that the laws for the feds and the laws for the state in terms of what you can contribute are different. So you can't really use that money to, say, promote a federal candidate unless you're very clear where the money came from in terms of amount, etc. But you can certainly use it for some of these state senators that are in trouble here or there. But that's really not enough money, I think, to... there are huge amounts of money pouring in on the Democrat side. And
what's Cuomo's war chest? Something like 20 or 30 million?
Yeah, it's over 20 million. It was. Yeah, I don't know what he's spending now. And this is a problem Republican candidates have had in the past. There have been situations that we had very good candidates. Well, they were running against his father, actually, I guess. And they were just totally out of money. The best they could do was get on talk shows and, hit all the state fairs they could and that sort of thing. And so having a decent war chest is pretty key, and I think that's what Molinaro was worried about to start with. That's why he was reluctant to get into the race. He didn't see enough support there. But then things begin to open up. You got all this corruption. You got the possibility that Cynthia Nixon's going to split the left with her working families effort, etc. I guess he felt, it's worth taking a shot.
independent poll that I saw from Larry Sharp on Thursday morning showed Cuomo at 38%, Molinaro at 25%, Larry Sharp at 13%. Do those numbers mean anything to you? Do you believe that?
No, I don't.
What do you not believe?
I don't believe that Sharp's got 13% by any means. I hate to say this, but I think the margin between Cuomo and Molinaro is greater than, what was it, about 12%. Yeah, but let's hope it's not. At this point, the polls, I think, begin to mean a little something. Polls taken back in August and June are, that's way off. But people begin to pay attention now, and that's why it's kind of interesting to see how the Republicans are doing across the country. And you got to give President Trump credit. I mean, his energy and his willingness to get out there and stump for Republican candidates, I mean, it's just boundless. And I think it helps. Now, I don't think it's going to help Republicans that much in New York State because, again, you got a very liberal state and all kinds of strange people wandering around. But in the Midwest and the West, the South, I'm thinking his support is pretty important and his willingness to get out there and support Republicans. So that, again, the House is the one that's in the seems to be the one that's on the edge. And I've seen various polls. One poll from CNN showed the generic poll, which is you ask people if they're going to vote Republican or Democrat for the House, had the Democrats up by 13 points. Now that's serious. But I've seen a number of other polls that have the Democrats up by single digits, and if that's the case, the Republicans definitely are within range of hanging on to the House. They'll lose some seats, but it's amazing the amount of money that the Democrats are pouring into some of these district elections.
Dr. Bob, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to be back in something like 90 seconds.
I'll start counting.
Some experts say radio commercials are not as good as the ads on YouTube and Facebook. These experts will tell you Facebook and YouTube, being newer, make radio obsolete.
What the hell are you talking about?
Radio, like television and telephones, are not new inventions, but radio, like TV and phones, are still widely used. Also, what these experts don't tell you is radio ads can be more exciting than YouTube or Facebook ads. Radio ads can be written and recorded faster and more affordably than digital and video, and can give you better results. Think of the time it takes to go through the process of answering 80 gazillion questions on the online forms you have to fill out, versus just picking up the phone and calling us to get a commercial on. So just remember, the next time you want to get the word out about something, your store, your business, whatever, call us at 324-1480 and get the word out faster, more simply, and in a less expensive way.
Meteorologist Rob Carolyn, what's up?
What's up? The sun's up, Brian, but we can't see it. We've got lots of cloudiness out there this morning, and those clouds are going to persist for a while. Later this afternoon, a few breaks of sun may develop. Temperatures 50 to 55. Sun came up this morning at 7:20. It'll set tonight at 6:32. Little disturbance is going to go by tonight. It'll produce some widely scattered showers, 35 to 40. And in the wake of that, tomorrow we turn partly sunny, 50 to 55. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy, cold, 35 to 40. Partial sunshine on Sunday, 55 to 60.
Dr. Robert A. Heineman.
Yes.
Feminist writer Camille Paglia?
Oh, yeah.
All right, she told the New York Times that the liberal media and the Democrats overplayed their hand in going after President Trump way too much. She says that'll cause Trump to easily win re-election because of the behavior of the Democrats and the media. She's no friend of President Trump's. Do you think the mainstream media and the establishment in Washington will pick up on what she told the New York Times?
Well, she's a conservative. She's a leading lesbian spokesperson and has written, pretty extensively, but she's a solid conservative.
She says she doesn't like Trump, though.
Well, that doesn't...
you can be both. You can just
I would think so, yes. First of all, you got to raise the issue of whether Trump's a real conservative. He's what he is a basic capitalist, trying to promote as much business opportunities he can, etc. So there's some things that Trump stands for, some conservatives not happy about at all. But I do think that again, predicting what happens in 2020 is a stretch. But my understanding is on Morning Joe, is that a show there with Scarborough?
MSNBC.
Yeah.
Joe Scarborough.
Who came out against Trump and was one of these, apparently the other day, was saying that the Democrats are really pretty hopeless. They don't have a message. They don't have any clear ideas that they're promoting, and that the Republicans, who do have a message and are very clear on what they're promoting, have, I think that's a real, and I think he's right. That not only do they have a message, and one of the messages is that Trump is producing what he said he would do when he ran for election. And the Kavanaugh battle was simply one aspect of that. And I must say, Trump is being very careful about how he treats the Ford lady. His position is that she may well have been attacked, but she's just misidentified who her attacker was. And so instead of going after her, which I was afraid he would do, come in there with both feet just tearing her to be, and he's backing way off that and taking a much more moderate position, which is a very smart thing to do. There's no sense getting women more unhappy with him than what a lot of them are.
Dr. Bob, former First Lady Michelle Obama is doing a book tour. Does she have political ambitions?
I think not, but I do think that she wants to make as much. She's not that different from Hillary Clinton in that sense. She wants to make as much money as she can. I guess I don't blame her. I mean, you can get out there and play off the name recognition you have out there, and she's going to sell some books, I guess. But no, Nikki Haley's the one I think you really have to watch. And I think her resigning her position at the United Nations was done. I mean, it's a real class act. And even Trump looked pretty classy in the whole interchange there. So what she has on her mind, I don't know. But, when she resigned, she went on about what a great job Trump has done, and then listed all the things they had done in the 2 years that she had been ambassador to the United Nations. And it really was a pretty impressive list. Well, it's kind of interesting you would do that as you're stepping down. Kind of gives you a base to let the rest of the country know that, you're pretty good. And I think she is pretty good. So I think she's a serious candidate. And again, maybe she's thinking of running for the Senate in South Carolina. That's Lindsey Graham's territory. I don't know who the other senator is.
By the way, Lindsey Graham is, with all his support of Trump and his speech during the Kavanaugh hearings, do you think he's positioning himself for another presidential run?
Well, I think people like Haley and Graham are, they are positioning themselves. In fact, Graham is out, as I understand it, out campaigning for a lot of these Republican senators now. He's really thrown off the gloves, and he's maybe putting on the gloves. I don't know what the analogy is there. And he's out there campaigning vigorously. And first and foremost, he wants not only to maintain the Senate majority. I think he and McConnell both want to increase the Republican majority in the Senate, which helps them, both of them, in that respect. And I think if that happens, I think our Mr. Schumer is going to find his position as leader of the Democrats under fire. I wouldn't be surprised that he'll be bounced out and some other Democrat will be.
Would he resign if that happens?
No, not a chance.
He likes it too much.
Oh, are you kidding me? No, he's not. And this is not to say that he's in any way corrupt or anything of that sort.
No, I don't think so.
But he's a politician to the core, and he loves it in that sense. No, he's not going to. But it would be pretty disappointing to him. I'm sure it would be pretty frustrating. You can understand why. But
sure thing.
The Republicans are coming full bore, and they want to increase, and I think they have a pretty good chance there.
With that, we've got to fly.
And I think I'll just walk out of here.
Thanks, Doc.